We had over 100 people on the first day. I have a photo, had over 100 people in my store on the first day. That's when I looked at the team that I built to manage and run the first store, and I said, "We're onto something."
Welcome to the Powerhouse. My name is Joshua Gonzalez, but you can call me JG. This show is for the moment before the win, when you're at the crossroads and your judgment actually matters. Each episode, I sit down with a leader here in New York City to unpack one real decision under pressure. What the stakes were, what the trade offs they faced, what they chose, and the values behind it. Then we publish a short written breakdown in the Powerhouse newsletter on LinkedIn. So the lesson is easy to share, easy to remember, and useful long after the recording. So if you ever had to make a hard call with imperfect information, this is for you. Let's get it started. Our guest for today is a person very respected by the business community here in the city, and subsequently my neighbor here in LIC. Let's welcome Greg Okshteyn. Welcome, Greg.
Hi, JG. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you. And we haven't had our sit down coffee, so one day I'll send an invite.
I look forward to it.
All right, perfect. Let's get the story started. So, Greg, give us context. Tell us where you were in life when you had to make this decision to create PlayDay.
Well, my entire life, I was on a very linear trajectory. My dream was to become an architect from a very young age. I was blessed to have architecture in my life at a young age. My grandfather was an architect. My father was an artist. So I had exposure to architecture and art at a very young age. And that was always my passion and remains my passion to this day. I'm very lucky that I was able to study architecture in Brooklyn at Pratt Institute and get my master's at Columbia University in advanced architectural design. And I was very fortunate to open my own design practice right after I graduated from Columbia, and that is now 23 years ago. So the name of my firm is Studios Go. We design restaurants and bars and cafes and hotels and buildings all over the world. And it was it's been a great story. It's been a great experience. I continue to grow. I continue to learn. I love architecture. At one moment, 8 years ago,
Mhm.
I was presented a fork in the road. And basically, my daughter, who
Mhm.
at the time was 5 years old, really loved art, and we had nowhere to go. In our community, we had the martial arts, we had gymnastics, we had soccer, tennis, music, but no art. And I started to really think about that. Why are there no creative art studios for children, for young kids? Kind of, there's Kumon.
Mhm.
Why not something for art? So that was the beginning of the fork, and then as luck would have it, a space became a retail space became available right across the street from our house.
Mhm.
And my architect mind said, "Well, what's going to work there?" I said, "Well, wait a second. I want to open an art studio for kids."
Mhm.
So the name of the broker went on the space, and I know the broker. I called him. I said, "Troy, I'm really interested in the space." He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I think I want to open an art studio for kids."
Mhm.
I said, "Well, that's a great idea." And immediately we had kind of buy-in from the landlord, and my fork in the road started to really present itself. I said, Am I really gonna take this another entrepreneurial plunge and start another business? I've worked so hard to develop one, and now I'm finally, have the fruits of my labor. Am I really gonna do this again?" And, I came home and I told my wife, I said, "I think I wanna take the space across the street and open an art studio." She said, "Well, that's a great idea." So
Mhm.
we should call it?" She said, "Well, I think we should call it Playday." And I said, "Well, that's a wonderful name." And I said, "Let's go with that." And We got PlayDay.com. We got 844 PlayDay. We trademarked the word, and
Mhm.
boom, I decided to to start another business. So everyone I shared, friends and family, the ones that I shared the idea with and trying to get their opinions on whether I should take this plunge, they were all extremely supportive. I realized that because of my background, because of my knowledge with building out space and articulating brands for some very large companies, the feedback from my friends was very positive, and a few of them even offered to invest.
Mhm.
Without me asking, they said, "Greg, you're the right man for the job." And I rented the space. I built a team, and we started. And we offered art and sensory activities for children ages 1 to 4 in the morning. We offered art activities for children ages 5 to 10 in the afternoon after school and during camp.
Mhm.
There was no school. Basically, the company was structured to operate like a gym. In the beginning, I would say, Playday is like SoulCycle for kids. Instead of bikes, we have art. So it's basically, I had this notion of why can't we have, great activities like sculpture, weaving, knitting, embroidery, architecture, and fashion design, all these things that children don't have access to, taught by great instructors. So immediately I realized that the concept taps into a great talent pool of young creatives that have recently graduated from school that have interest in art and education with very prestigious degrees from Vassar, Oberlin, Yale, RISD, but they were having a hard time with Masters of Fine Arts degrees. They were having a hard time finding jobs, and we realized that you know Playday was attracting a very high level, very talented, very dedicated, very professional people. So we hired a group of instructors, and we were off to the races. And that was, you know, and the decision proved very fruitful because there's many challenges and many obstacles, but we overcame, and we continue to grow, we continue to learn, and now I'm proud to say that we have 6 locations.
Mhm.
About to sign number 7. We have location the first one was in Long Island City, the next one was Cobble Hill,
Mhm.
Brooklyn, then Hoboken, New Jersey, then Park Slope, then Upper West Side, Upper East Side, and now we'll be doing 2 new ones this year, another one on the Upper East Side and one in Tribeca. So the concept is what evolved to is kind of a place where children can come and begin to build confidence,
Mhm.
connect to their social emotional awareness. Basically, they're not in school, they're not at home, they're not at church or synagogue, and they're in a social environment, and now they have to learn and adapt.
Mhm.
And it is through art that they are connected with their peers. A lot of work goes into helping the kids talk about their work so they become better public speakers. A lot of work goes into not being perfect at play day. So the children get to build confidence and a keen awareness and celebration of diversity, right? So the mission of Playday became about helping children develop the skills necessary to be successful in life, not just art, right? So we do art to bring out the the experience and the growth and the evolution of the kids. But we talk about creating the foundation before they might start learning more about art. Anyway, it was an amazing decision for me because we really changed the communities that we're in. Parents stop me in the street all the time, thanking me for our great instructors, our great programming,
Mhm.
and how much their kids love coming to Playdate.
I wanted to pull back a bit. You're already running a big, successful business. So, background to the folks, Greg was one of the lead in terms of the Starbucks Reserve. And so that is definitely a handful. What came into decision to take on more work, right? It might be a whole new journey of a long term uh, kind of mission for you for this new business. What made you
Yeah,
decide you wanted to go through that pain again?
that's a great question. So one of my strengths is building teams.
Teams.
So not only as an architect do I have the knowledge on how to build buildings
Hmm.
and how to coordinate very complex systems to make those buildings successful. I also I apply that same skill set to building teams. I'm very quick at articulating what is missing and then finding the right person, finding the right solution. And usually that's a person. So in my architecture firm, I have a big team that I delegate things to. I basically, um, work to come up with the ideas and the concepts and the solutions to our clients' problems. But in terms of the production and implementation, I've built teams to that I delegate that to teams that I trust very much, teams that deliver. So I knew that with this idea for a new concept, it's just another team.
That's interesting. And you mentioned to your wife, she was on board. She was very supportive. What were some of the potential fear or uncertainty and doubt that during that time you had a conversation about going into this?
Well, one of the things that make me a little different, perhaps, is I'm wired without fear.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, fear comes much later. In the beginning, I get so excited about ideas
Uh-huh.
and and connect it to what people like and don't like that fear doesn't even come into it. But of
Mm.
course, when you break it down, it's signing a new lease, a new commercial lease, putting large deposits down, paying for construction, taking on staff and being responsible for their salaries and livelihood. Also, not knowing if children would like a creative play space. Maybe there was a reason one has never been created before. There was a lot of those questions in the back of my mind, but because of my own upbringing, my own
Mhm.
exposure to the arts, constant exposure to the arts from a very young age,
Right.
I knew that this was very much needed and would be supported. The the opportunity completely overcame any fear.
Interesting. It's so, I would say, what a time when you were able to kind of piece everything together where there is a demand, right? Of course, some level of no one's doing this at the same time, being able to land into this place where you had talent available, right? Like, oh, there's a lot of fine arts graduates who are looking for opportunities to educate, to be around kids, to show their passion. A perfect place for them as well, right? It's almost like play date for the graduates. So this becomes a great experiment. On the first few days of maybe like 30 days, 90 days of running this, what did you notice about the setup, about the situation, about the experience of the children that are there?
That's a great question. We went into it without having everything figured out.
Mm,
There is never a moment when it all falls into place and it's all clear. Went in not even knowing what questions needed to be answered. But we went in with a very open mind, with a um uh and with extreme agility.
right.
Team that I built, I explained to them, I said, I want to build this to be $100 million company. I think
Hmm.
I can. Don't know how, but every day we're gonna get closer. And we're just gotta that's all we gotta do is just go day by day and be very keen and aware to what our community needs and what our customers are telling us. We knew that in the mornings we would be able to have the activities for the little ones because they have nothing else to do. This is before school, preschool.
Mhm.
We also knew that parents want to get out of the house. We knew parents wanted to get messy, and um, have a place to bond with their little ones
Mhm.
over art and sensory activities. So then we knew kids needed someplace to go after school. And anyways, we just do some basic things. Camp, for example, happened when there was a snow day. And all the kids came everyone came the whole day. I was like, okay, I guess this is what camp is going to look like.
Mhm.
And then one day, a parent asked if they could do their birthday party at Playday. I said, "Well, sure." I said, "Well, then that's how birthday parties developed." It was always out of necessity, right? It was just like we just kept
Right.
showing up,
Mhm.
and more needs presented themselves, and we had solutions, and we kept going.
Great. What would be your remarks for people who are aspiring entrepreneurs who don't have the same experience as you, but at the same time, they see a need, they probably have a solution? How should they approach this?
Trust your instincts,
Mhm.
work really hard, ask everybody for help,
Mhm.
be open to not knowing what you don't know. Understand that, it's a very lengthy process. I was lucky. I was told early on that to launch a concept takes 10 years.
Mhm.
It really takes a lot of time. Nothing is easy, nothing is fast, but if you work hard every day, it is my favorite takeaway is it can happen.
So, at the start, right, when a retail space across the street suddenly opened, what was the exact moment you realized this isn't just an idea? I might actually do Playday, and what made it feel urgent right then?
Great question, JG. So it was really the very first day that the doors were open, and we offered a first activity free trial.
Mm.
And when I say that people with strollers were running down the street,
Mhm.
it would not be an exaggeration. We had over 100 people on the first day. I have a photo. I had over 100 people in my store on the first day. And that's when I looked at the team that I built to manage and run the first store, and I said, "We're onto something."
Wow. It feels like, when Apple releases a new device and there's a line, that's what I imagined on your first day.
They were running down the street, JJ.
I love it. Oh, man, I missed that moment. What year was this again? 2000?
This was, December of 2017.
December of 2017. Wow. And it's winter time too, right? That's great. Let's see. So, okay, looking back from that first LIC location to 6 locations and counting, what's the decision rule that you use to build Playday without having everything figured out?
The decision rule is you have to work hard.
Mhm.
You have to be dedicated. You have to be able to not have everything figured out as you go.
Mm.
There are things it's yes until it's no, but I think that's too vague. The Play-Day rule is to listen to your customers' needs,
Right.
your customers' interests, your customers' schedule, and work to accommodate.
Mhm.
So we knew that parents wanted flexibility, so we
Mhm.
created extremely flexible booking options. Families can book with Playday by the hour, by the half day, by the whole day, by the week, by the month, by the year, by the semester,
Mhm.
by the year. We gave parents lots of flexibility. And we also listened to the kids to really find out what they like. So we based our curriculum around things that children like. We
Mhm.
have, we have awesome cartooning activities, sculpture. We have an architecture program for 5-year-olds, which is spectacular. We even have game design. So we often will flex with our offerings
Mhm.
as we learn more and more about what our customers need. So the Playday rule is to listen to your customer and work hard to accommodate.
And I see that's a recurring theme in this journey of yours, because that's how you adjust, right? You were listening, you were kind of paying attention to the person that has to decide, because you said you had to be flexible. So you allow that 30-minute where you can also rent like long term, buy time long term. And then you even said like initially you didn't do birthday parties, and then someone asked you and you're like, why not? And then it became a big party, and people are now throwing parties at Playday. Uh, how was this happening, like, operation wise, right? Was it hard to adjust, or did you really anticipate this type of need?
Well, it's important to mention that our failure resume was just as impressive as our success resume. And there are many things that we tried that didn't work.
Good.
So that was also a big part of it. We tried things programming for older kids. We tried paint and sips with for adults. We had all these other things that we tried to have concerts with music or um, magicians and performers and things like that. So lots of things that didn't work, but the basics are the things that worked. But when you have a team full of creative people, we know how
Mhm.
to be flexible. We know how to trust the process. We know that it's the end result is going to be very different than what we always intended it to be. Um,
Mhm.
and just to keep working, right? That's really how the team culture at Playday was established early and continues to be a big part of our success is operations. They believe in the mission, which is again helping children connect to creativity through art, and build confidence through art, and that's it. It's just belief in the mission and 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 a keep going attitude.
What mistakes you see? Sorry, what's the mistake you see most new founders make at that stage, when the opportunity feels exciting but the questions aren't answered yet?
Perhaps it's not being open to change.
Okay.
I think again, we all start, we make the plunge, we sign the lease, we open the doors, we build the team, we spend a lot of money, and you got to remain flexible. You got to
Mhm.
stay open to pivot
Pivot. That's a good word.
and pivot often,
Oh,
right? And just be open to it and to trust your instincts, but to also, like I said earlier, listen to the feedback and the input from your team and from your community.
mhm.
In the beginning, you have to be it's easy to be agile in the beginning.
Mhm.
It's easy to try different things. That's not working, let's try this. And just the right path does present itself.
Great. Wow. Agile, being open to pivot. That's something that new founders have to kind of be, it has to be part of their personality already. That change. And while you're lean, you can be flexible, right? While it's still starting, that's the advantage you have compared to established businesses who have to have like bureaucracy of decision making. As a founder, you can pivot, you can listen, you can make that decision. Well, that's what an inspiring story.
Well, let me add to that really just briefly. It's very important to collaborate and be a collaborator as a
Collaborate.
founder. It's very important to empower your staff. It's very important to uh, you know not build a team to tell them what to do.
Oh,
You build a team for them to do what they're good at. This is a key thing. We have to build the right team with the right pieces. Again, being flexible, nobody's perfect. No decision's ever perfect. But to be a great collaborator, it's important to listen, to accept feedback, to trust your team, to trust that everyone's in it for the right reasons. So that's another thing I would say is a key piece is trust.
great. Thank you for that. All right, now we will proceed to quick fire questions about the city.
Let's do it.
Okay, Greg, what's a local spot that you believe deserves more attention?
Uh, Right next door to
Mhm.
PlayDay in Long Island City is a little Japanese food store called Mog Mog.
Mog Mog. Okay, okay.
And Mog Mog has made my life better by having authentic Japanese sushi and groceries directly imported from Japan. It's super fresh, it's super delicious. It feels like I'm in Tokyo when I'm in the store.
Great. What's a go-to restaurant for big celebrations for you?
Ooh, for big celebrations, are we talking about Long Island City or this is just in general?
In general, let's keep it open, yeah, so you're not constrained.
I mean, being born in Ukraine, one of my family's favorite places for big celebrations is a restaurant in Brighton Beach called Tatiana.
Mm.
They have very authentic Ukrainian food with a full-blown Las Vegas floor show,
Wow. This is in Coney Island, you said?
Coney Island, Brooklyn.
What a great spot. Let me put that in my Google Maps. Okay, what subway behavior should be illegal?
Okay, this is an easy one. Eating
Okay.
on the subway must be illegal.
Eating. Okay. If New York had a smell, how would you describe it?
Oof. Dirty fancy.
So I know you have branches in different neighborhoods, so no biases. What neighborhood is your personality and why?
Oh, wow. I mean, what's interesting is in different phases of my life, different neighborhoods, I connected with different neighborhoods in New York City. I was
Mhm,
fortunate to grow up in Chelsea
mhm.
in the 80s and 90s when it was the nightlife capital of the universe. And in those days, I really enjoyed it. And then I got older and I moved to the Upper East Side and that connected. And then I raised my family in Long Island City,
Mhm.
and that's where I'm currently based. So it's hard to pinpoint a single neighborhood. I think the more you stay in New York, the more you realize that it's really the entire city
Mhm.
that we connect to. It's just different moments and different phases of life connect to different neighborhoods.
Great. Last question. In New York, you can blank.
Do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg, for today. And how can they find Playday and how can they get in touch with your team?
So our website's playday.com. All the
Mhm.
information that is there. My email is gregory@playday.com and always looking to collaborate and grow. So hit me up.
If you're serious about making better decisions in your life, career, or business, subscribe to the Powerhouse. Every episode, we unpack one real decision under pressure so you can learn from leaders across New York City. And if there's someone whose story we should feature next, drop their name in the comments. I'm JG, and I'll see you in the next episode.